ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Wolverine Den on the campus of Willamette High School. Tonight's matchup is the Willamette Wolverines versus the Sheldon Irish, and we'd like to welcome our guests from Sheldon High School for tonight's Southwest Conference League game. The Southwest Conference has high expectations for all spectators are asked to sit in their designated sections, and we thank you in advance helping keep Wolverine Stadium clean by placing litter in our garbage cans. Please support our athletes, coaches, and officials with positive action and encouragement.
Sean, it's his 18th birthday today, too. I said it's his 18th birthday today, too. Party hard.
All right, sports fans, tonight, when you get a little hungry, when you get a little thirsty, make sure you head down to the booster station. Pick yourself up nice Coca-Cola product, a hot dog, a burger. Because remember, it's all about the kids.
Not yet. You have any?
Senior parents of 2016. Number 7, Xavier Young. Number 8, Griffin Lavassar. Number 28, Santiago Soriano. Number 53, Trenton Koffler. Number 55, Jake Muller. Number 64, Keenan Mitchell. Number 66, Levi Nolan. And number 71, the sophomore, Matthew Metcalf. That's your starting defensive line for your Willamette Wolverines.
If you come up a little higher, there's that double rows on the ground. I know. You don't have to do the tightrope. I know, that's what the ground is got to
A matchup between two of the best teams in the Southwest Conference here in the Wolverine Den, as they call it, at Wolverine Stadium. It's the Willamette Wolverines and the Sheldon Irish. Number 3 Sheldon visiting town. Willamette upstart team, the story of the Southwest Conference so far this season at 5-2. Chris Clayton and Jonathan Style with you here on KWVA2 and on SheldonAthletics.com. And the reason why Willamette's a story of the SWC, they come in with the #1 defense in the conference, a first-year head coach in Josh Wolfram, and a team that only won one game last year and 4 games combined the previous 2 years. So this is a team that is really unexpected and really surprised the entire conference. What an environment it's probably going to be once this game starts, and what an opportunity to kind of upset or at least make it a competitive game against Sheldon and take that next step as a program here tonight.
Yeah, Josh Wolfram has given this program a good opportunity, and they have, like you said, a great shot here tonight. They got Justin Herbert in town. Mark Helfrich is at this game as well as Scott Frost. So Justin Herbert is going to be looking to be playing his best. So it should be a good opportunity for Herbert to kind of show what he can do against a very good defense in Willamette. Yeah,
Justin Herbert committed to Oregon a couple of weeks ago to play quarterback for the Ducks, and the Ducks head man and offensive coordinator are on hand. So as you said, John, this is going to be the game where if you're Herbert, you're going to want to impress. But of course, if he doesn't, I'm not saying he's going to take anything away from what he's done so far this year. And what he's done so far this year for the Irish has been unbelievable. 20 touchdowns through the air compared to just 2 interceptions, as well as 5 rushing touchdowns on the ground. In the last 3 games, or rather the last 2 games, he's been out by the second quarter, by the end of the second quarter. So this is a Sheldon team that is really supremely talented and a ton of weapons. Now, Willamette, you look at their schedule, and they kind of got lucky so far. They haven't really played the top of the SWC quite yet, but it's going to be a challenge, I think, for Sheldon. This is going to be the best defense Sheldon has faced in a while, and Willamette is really going to have to play well on the defensive side. Obviously going to be a tough task in containing the Irish, but if Willamette wants a chance, got to believe they got to somehow try and contain Justin Herbert.
Yeah, they need to keep him in the pocket. They can't let him extend plays. He's very good at kind of making plays happen when they're not there, and if they can do that, if they can keep him contained and try to keep him in the pocket, force him to make some difficult throws, they have the defense that can cover guys on the outside like Jack Johnson. So it'll be interesting to see how the wide receivers and DBs end up matching up out here. But like you said, it's a great Friday night atmosphere here at Willamette, so it'll be exciting. I'm sure the crowd is fired up. The Sheldon fans have to be fired up. This is a big test for them, so we'll see how it all plays out on the field, but it should be good here tonight.
Absolutely, and the captains are out in the middle of the field for Sheldon for the coin toss. Those captains being Chandler Obermeyer, Nathan Mahaffey, Wyatt Wilcoxon, and Justin Herbert, the star of the squad. Now Willamette about to run through a banner and get this crowd all fired up here in the Wolverine Den. And it's Breast Cancer Awareness Night for Willamette. There's the student section decked out in pink. But the Wolverines coming in this one, I talked about it a little bit, but what a job Josh Wolfram has done building up this squad the last couple of years, or the last 3 seasons. That is 5 combined wins, and they already have 5 so far this year. Now what really hurts the Wolverines, Elijah Jackson broke his clavicle last week. Trevor McDonald was not listed in the starting lineup announced over the PA system, and he was a guy who did not play last week in their close win at North Medford. He was suspended last game due to, quote, team policy issues. So it does not really help for Willamette if your top 2 rushers in Trevor McDonald and Elijah Jackson are going to be out for this game.
Yeah, and Trevor McDonald early in the year actually led this league in rushing just a few weeks ago, and then not having him last week, they were still able to pull off the victory, like you said. So it'd be really interesting to see what Willamette goes to. Maybe they throw the ball more tonight, maybe catch Sheldon off guard. This is a team in Willamette that likes to run the ball a lot, so we'll see if they try to switch it up. Taylor Bridge-Eiler, an incredible quarterback, has nice touch on the ball. We'll see if he can look for some receivers downfield, maybe kind of surprise this Sheldon defense. So it should be a good one, but Elijah Jackson earlier in the year, just 2 weeks ago, Zach Bigley and myself were here at Willamette when they were taking on Thurston, and Elijah Jackson had one of the plays in the years on a punt return. So he's a guy that not just helped in the running game, but in the special teams as well. So when you lose a factor like that to your team, it's going to hurt. So we'll see how Willamette can rebound from that, see if they play a little different style tonight, and see if they can't pull off the upset against Sheldon.
Yeah, Elijah Jackson leads Willamette in tackles as well. He leads them with 46 tackles, and he leads them in sacks, too, at that linebacker spot with 4 sacks on the year. Both teams fired up. They are in their huddles on each individual sideline, hopping up and down, getting hyped for this Southwest Conference matchup. Willamette 4-1, tied for second with Grants Pass at 4-1. Grants Pass only conference loss came to Sheldon, and Sheldon right now at 4-0 in conference. The reason they have 4 games is because their matchup with Roseburg was canceled 3 weeks ago tonight. So an opportunity here for Willamette to try and take the next step and really move towards the upper echelon of the conference. Last year they were 1-6 in conference, so I mean, whatever happens at this point, it's certainly been a phenomenal season for the Wolverines. So Sheldon is out to boot this one deep. The Wolverines will receive to start things off here at Willamette High School. Back deep to receive for the Wolverines as Herbert boots it deep. It is Michael Young. He goes to the right side, and he'll be wrapped up and taken down at about the 21-yard line. So here we go. Willamette will start with it first. A opportunity here to kind of make a statement this first drive. Bridge Eiler, the quarterback, just a sophomore, but been pretty prolific last week. He did throw 4 touchdown passes, but he does have 5 interceptions this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Willamette tries to do on offense for a team that likes to run the ball a lot, and I think you have to do that against a team like Sheldon. Keep Sheldon's defense on the field. When Justin Herbert's on the field, that's when you get hurt. So if they can run the ball, maintain the clock a little bit, I think they have a good chance to stay in this one and just try to keep the time of possession in their favor.
Yeah, the teams have had success running the ball on Sheldon early this year. We'll see if they can do it. It's number 22, Taylor Bridge-Eiler at quarterback. Takes the snap, handoff to Young on the left side. It's a sweep. Cuts back towards the middle. Flag flies as Young is lit up a yard behind the line of scrimmage. Nothing doing there. We'll check the flag. Big time hit by, I believe that was Wyatt Wilcoxon coming in and taking down Young. Nice team speed there by the Irish defense, containing the edge, and it's also going to be a hold against Willamette.
Yeah, a few weeks ago when Willamette was taking on Thurston, holding penalties were hurting them. Now, although they went on to win that game, penalties were huge, so you can't afford to make those costly mistakes against a team like Sheldon here tonight if you want to stay in this one.
Yeah, the last time these teams faced off was a year ago, almost to the night, October 24th, 2014. Sheldon won 68-15. Bridge-Eiler takes the snap. He's going to throw out left. It's complete underneath. That's Lavasseur, and Lavasseur is going to get just past the line of scrimmage and pick up only about a yard. So Lavasseur, and there's actually another flag. So it's still first down. We are about 26 seconds, not about, exactly 26 seconds into this game. And not an official play has been run quite yet. We'll check the flag here now. The white hat jogs to midfield, and it's going to be another hold against the Wolverines. It doesn't get much worse than this as far as starts on offense.
Yeah, and just like I said, you can't afford to do that against a team like Sheldon. You have 2 plays, you have 2 penalties, and 2 holds nonetheless, so they got to be able to contain those defensive backs on the outside. It looks like both times they were trying to contain the DBs, and it just weren't able to do that.
Bridge-Eiler takes the snap with 4 wideouts, pressure at his own goal line, throws it forward, and it hits the turf underneath. His intended receiver was Brian Kim right near the line of scrimmage, but that one falls harmlessly to the turf after the ball was snapped from their own 10-yard line, and Bridge-Eiler almost got wrapped up in his own end zone for a safety.
Almost could have been called for intentional grounding also. It didn't really look like he had a receiver rushing in to almost make it look like he was trying to throw the ball, but Bridge-Eiler was trying to get rid of it because if he takes that sack, they're within their own 3-yard line at least.
So 3rd and 20 from their own 10. Bridge-Eiler with 4 wideouts, trips right. He's going to roll out to the right side, throw towards the sideline, and that one is nearly intercepted, incomplete. Graham Johnson, nice job in coverage. Intended receiver was Brian Kim, but nothing really doing there. Graham Johnson all over it.
Yeah, Josh Wolfram rolling out Bridge-Eiler right there, trying to get him moving on a 3rd and 20. Kind of a difficult situation. You're in your own part of your territory, so it would have been difficult to pick up the first down. They were just trying to gain back some yards to make this punt manageable, but were unable to do that with the incomplete pass. So
Bridge-Eiler steps back, and he will boot it deep with Tanner Zanke back to receive for the Irish. A side-widening punt. That's actually Jack Johnson, who, as the ball bounces towards the sideline, Johnson's going to take this one at the 45, cut up field to the 40, and wrapped up in a pile, fights forward to about the 39. So good field position starting off here for the Irish at the Willamette 39. Tough start here. Crowd silence for now because that was not a good start for the Willamette offense, and now the Irish have stellar field position as well.
Yeah, and that goes back to that 3rd down call I was talking about there. Trying to move the ball up because if you don't pick up any yards like they did right there, you get yourself into good field position. You don't want to get into a field position battle with Sheldon.
So here's Herbert. Takes the snap with trips left. Drops back. A slip screen underneath to the running back, C.K. Thompson. Cutting up field. Got a block to the 20. Inside the 15. Cuts back inside the 10. All the way to the 7. C.K. Thompson, a gain of 32. And that is the first play on offense for Sheldon. And that's a good start compared to Willamette's first 2 plays, which were holding penalties. Now Sheldon rushing up to the line here.
Some huge blocks on that play.
Still 4 wideouts with trips left. Thompson will take the handoff right up the middle, racing towards the end zone, and he's in for 6. Touchdown, Irish. C.K. Thompson in. And that is touchdown run number 9 from 7 yards out that time. And what a start for number 3 Sheldon on the road.
Talk about a tale of 2 cities right there. The Wolverines on offense had two plays and 2 penalties, and Sheldon has 2 plays and a touchdown. So Willamette defense is very good, unable to contain C.K. Thompson on both of those plays. So it'll be interesting to see if they find a way to mix up their defense and try to stop him.
Herbert to kick the extra point. It is up and through. So 7-0 Irish. And as you said, it only took 2 plays. So with Mark Helfrich and Scott Frost, the Oregon head coach and offensive coordinator, Justin Herbert, the Oregon commit, didn't really have to do too much that drive. Just completed a screen pass to Thompson and then handed it to Thompson.
Sometimes as a quarterback, it's all you have to do. You're out there to just make plays happen, not make any mistakes, and a little screen off and then a handoff, and got them in the end zone. And if that's all it's going to take tonight, then, why not just keep making it simple, make your offense simple. But I'm sure Herbert would appreciate if the old ball coach let him sling a little bit for Coach Helfrich and Coach Frost.
That's right. We'll see. But you would think the opportunity would arise, considering this is a Willamette defense only allowing 26 points a game. Once again, number 1 in the Southwest Conference in opponents' yards per game. So not a good start for the Willamette defense, though, with some injuries and suspensions not helping. Herbert's kick is pretty ugly and actually out of bounds. That's why he's not being recruited as a kicker. Helfrich and Frost are not here to recruit Herbert to kick.
Helfrich and Frost probably really upset with that play right there. Herbert's got to be smarter with his kick. But in all seriousness, as long as he goes out, does his job at quarterback, I'm sure Helfrich and Frost will be just happy that he'll stay healthy.
That's right. And so it's going to be great field position here for Willamette. The 35 is where they'll start. Not great field position, but decent compared to the first drive that started at the 21. So here come the Wolverines. Ridge Eiler and company trying to fare better than they did in their first drive, which ended with a couple penalties and a 3rd and 20 that was nearly intercepted. 10:47 left here at Willamette High School. Handoff right up the middle to Young, and he is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. He did get a yard, but Sheldon all over that one.
Sheldon's defense so far early in this ballgame has done a good job of generating pressure on that offensive line, getting in there quick, not letting Willamette establishing their run game early. So that'll be huge. Willamette needs their run game if they want to control the ball and control the time of possession on the clock. So we'll see if Willamette can get it going here on offense.
Yeah, this is a team that really focuses on the run, as you said earlier. 229 rush yards per game. That's second in the conference to Roseburg, who runs it pretty much every play. A toss play out right, that time to Young again. And Young is able to get downfield all the way up to the 40, so a gain of 4. So not quite as many yards as I thought on an initial view, but a 3rd and 5 coming up, a little bit more manageable. And this is where Willamette's got to be able to have success, and that's in passing situations. We'll see if the sophomore Bridge Eiler can make something happen for his squad.
Yeah, I look for Wolfram to have Bridge Eiler maybe roll out, get him moving a little bit, because if the play breaks down, he can take it and run himself.
So a stack formation here with at least 2 tight ends, single back, and 2 wide receivers. They're going to run it here on 3rd and 5 right up the middle, and he will lose yards. Nowhere to go. There to wrap him up, Chandler Obermeyer and Nathan Mahaffey. Loss of a yard on 3rd and 5.
I don't know if that was the best call to run the ball up the middle. They had success on the last play going to the outside, and then they maybe try to catch the Sheldon defense off guard by running it back up the middle, but Sheldon was prepared. They were ready on 3rd and 5. Almost looked like they were expecting the run and just stuffed it at the line.
So Sheldon get the ball back just like that. Bridge Eiler will take the snack, boot it deep, and a pretty good punt. Little low. Zanke's got some room at the 35. Cuts to the left. He's up to the 40. Now bounces it back towards the sideline and wrapped up. Taken down by Devin Gilman, the senior. His 21st tackle of the year. Flag did fly on the play. Could be a holding there as Gilman tried to make the tackle.
Pretty good coverage right there by Willamette on the punt return. Looked like Zenke had a lot of room to run on the left side of the field, and they were able to get over there and contain him and not let him break loose for a big return.
Yeah, the low punt really didn't help there. This is a signaled block in the back against Sheldon, so the ball will be moved back to the 32. So that's where Herbert and company will start things off. They're going to start it from the left hash with 4 wideouts. Herbert's got Thompson to his right. Herbert will roll right, looking downfield over the middle, complete. Wide open field for Deal, and get all the way up to midfield, just behind it, and a gain of about 17 yards just like that.
Herbert did a good job right there. As he was rolling to his right, his eyes were looking downfield, looking for an open receiver. Found him in the middle of the field, and Sheldon already lined up for another play quick.
Herbert will fake to Thompson up the middle, keep it. He's going to run to the right, and he gets his legs taken out from underneath him, but does get 6 yards. A nice tackle there by Griffin Lavasser, also just a sophomore. And a 2nd and 4 coming up. Sheldon really showing the tempo here tonight. Takes the snap, handoff up the middle to Thompson again. Thompson fighting forward, takes the pile all the way up to the 40, and it looks like it will be just enough for a first, maybe just short. But Sheldon marching now into Willamette territory. They're going to mark him just short, and officials thinking about it. I think they're going to mark him short, but then now they give him the first. So they'll move the sticks, and Sheldon was ready to go. They'll have to wait momentarily as the chain gang jogs up to their next positioning, which is between the 40 and 30-yard line of Willamette. Herbert with Thompson to his right, takes the snap, quick throw out right. It's going to be complete to French, and French is knocked out of bounds after a gain of about 7 yards to the 33. So keeping it pretty simple right now. Willamette giving them a lot of space on these underneath routes.
Yeah, and this tempo seems to be hurting Willamette's defense so far.
Yeah, they're trying to get a sub in late there. Herbert rolling left. He's looking deep downfield. Got a man. Complete drop by Deal, actually. He dropped it. Would have had a touchdown, and Deal could not pull it in. Herbert rolling to his left. Put that one just over the hands of the defender, and Deal couldn't pull it in for 6.
Talk about a dime by Herbert there, and like you said, rolling to his left nonetheless. So, you know, just dropping it right into the receiver. Unfortunately, the receiver dropped the ball, but a beautiful throw by Herbert.
So here's a 3rd and 3 now for the Irish. Herbert takes a snap, pump fakes left. He's going to throw over the middle, complete to Deal this time. Deal up to the 20, cuts, fighting forward, carrying defenders all the way to the 15. So there's a gain of 18 yards on 3rd and 3. Zach Deal getting a lot of targets here early in this one. And Herbert rolling, and their tempo continues here. The snap from the 15. Herbert fakes to Thompson. He's going to run to the left. Picks up a block, fighting forward inside the 5 to the 4. And another flag sitting back at the 15. This one could be coming back.
A beautiful block by Tanner Zenke right there, though. They may have got him for a hold because it was that good of a block, but we'll see. Zenke trying to clear the pathway for Herbert. Looked like he did that. Herbert fighting for some extra yards, but looks like this one might be coming back.
And it will. Hold against the Irish. Sheldon already up 7-0. Chris Clayton and Jonathan Stile with you here on KWVA2 and SheldonAthletics.com. As the Irish trying to build a 14-0 lead, but facing a 1st and 20 from the 25. Herbert takes a snap, fakes like he's going to run, now steps back, rolling out right, looking deep downfield. He'll fire it towards the end zone in a crowd, complete for a touchdown. Back of the end zone. That was Dylan French who pulled it in. Could have been a dangerous throw, but it ends in 6 points.
What a throw there by Justin Herbert. Just an absolute dime in the back of the end zone. It looked like he had a couple receivers back there that could have had the ball, but it ended up being a beautiful throw by Herbert, and Sheldon's up 13-0 early against a very good Willamette defense.
Yeah, Willamette. I have to think that the injuries have got to have something to do with this. They're struggling right now. I mean, Sheldon obviously tremendous and a whole new beast compared to the offense the Wolverines have faced, but Willamette marching right down the field so far. Herbert's extra point is up and through. Oh, it actually hit the upright. I spoke too soon. No good. So 13-0. Herbert not going to be happy with his kicking performance so far, but if he keeps throwing touchdowns, they don't even need extra points at this point.
Yeah, at that point, he could throw the ball through the uprights if he wanted to, because his arm strength is really on display tonight. Rolling to his right deep, it was probably about a 30-yard throw. Beautiful to the back. Actually, make that probably about a 40-yard throw all the way to the back of the end zone. Very impressive. So we'll see if he can keep that up. You expect him to, especially like we mentioned earlier with Helfrich and Frost here, really probably trying to show off the arm, but we've seen he can use his legs as well. And maybe not in the kicking game, but in the run game.
That's right. What a performance so far. Really efficient. Come to think of it, his only incompletion is a drop so far. That would have been a touchdown to deal.
And that's probably the best throw of the night.
Yeah.
Just dropped it right over the defender's hands, and it just a drop, but they ended up getting it back a couple plays later.
He went 8 for 9 last week against Thurston for 227 and 4 touchdowns. Efficiency still on display. It's going to be a quick onside kick here from the Irish to the left side, and that one does not pay off. Really nice job there by Santiago Soriano, the sophomore, catching that one and just don't even take a risk, just dropped straight to his knee.
Yeah, probably a good idea there. Would have gotten smacked. Sheldon was all over him, so good idea. Didn't look like he had much speed, or he was kind of caught flat-footed, so he wouldn't have had a lot to get going, and Sheldon had all the momentum. In a situation like that, the most important part is just holding on to the football. You don't want to try to do something or keep your eyes upfield and then end up fumbling the ball.
Coach Wolfram's squad here facing some adversity in this one, down 13-0. His team was picked to finish 7th in the conference in the preseason. Right now they're at 2nd place and trying to make a run here against Sheldon. Quick sweep out to the right side to Brian Kim, and he will get forward for a gain of only about a yard. And now a man down injured, and that is Brian Kim, the ball carrier. Trainer jogs out. Certainly hope that he's okay. Took a shot low there, running out to the right side as the Wolverines drop to a knee. But once again, going back to what I was saying, Willamette picked to finish 7th in the preseason Southwest Conference coaches poll, just ahead of South Eugene, and picked to finish behind Roseburg and Thurston. North Medford picked to finish 3rd, and Willamette beat North Medford last week on the road. They beat Thurston. They beat Roseburg earlier this year. And once again, their only conference loss was to the Panthers of South Medford. So you want to talk about exceeding expectations under a first-year head coach in Josh Wolfram. The Wolverines have certainly done that. But a lot of injuries last week in a tough game that was tied midway through the 4th with North Medford. They ended up the victor with a touchdown pass with about 6 minutes left by Bridge Eiler. But like I said earlier, Elijah Jackson broke his clavicle. And Trevor McDonald out with a suspension, and now Brian Kim is helped off to the sideline, and hopefully he's okay, but he'll be out for the moment. In place of him is Craig Hahn now at running back. Coming in motion is Young. Bridge Eiler takes the snap, hands to Hahn, and this play's going to be blown dead. It's going to be a false start against the Wolverines.
It seems like a couple of times they have receivers coming in motion look like they're trying to get him the ball because the run inside just hasn't worked so far, so they're looking to get it on the outside, see if they can't break it loose for a big run. But you got to think Willamette is just trying to sustain a long drive here. Their defense has been on the field. Their offense hasn't generated many yards in this one. So if you're Willamette and Josh Wolfram, you got to find a way to sustain this drive and at least take some time off the clock, give your defense some rest.
Yeah, the Sheldon defense has played a lot better these last 4 or 5 weeks or so, but definitely not perfect, and you can move the ball on them sometimes, but Willamette not helping themselves right now. As they line up on 2nd and 14, it's going to be another false start. 6:10 left here in the first, 13-0, and Willamette simply moving themselves backward right now. A 2nd and 18 from their own 30.
We're not even halfway through the first quarter here, and Willamette's already got 4 penalties. They had 2 on their first drive and 2 here on their third drive, so they got to clean up the mistakes. If you want to hang with a team like Sheldon, you can't afford to keep moving backwards. You got to start running some clock and moving the ball forwards.
It was actually a 2nd and 19. Bridge Eiler takes a snap. He's looking deep downfield towards the sideline. Underthrown and picked off. Tanner Zanke at his own 40 pulls it in. Devin Gilman, the intended receiver, and Zanke shows the athleticism there.
Yeah, Bridge Eiler got too much air under the ball. It looked like it was sitting up there for a while. Zanke just almost playing center field right there, just waiting the ball to drop into his hands. The receiver almost kind of looked like the defensive back on that play. Should have just tried to swat it out of the air, but Zanke with the athletic grab to go up, get the ball at its highest point, and bring it down for the interception.
So here comes the Irish offense again. First 2 drives have been quick and ended in touchdowns. Herbert from the left half takes the snap, looking downfield. He lofted towards Zanke, well overthrown there. And that ball bounces at the 35 of Willamette to the turf, incomplete.
Herbert just overthrew Zanke right there a little bit. That was probably his worst thrown ball of the night. Only his second incompletion, I believe. He had, like you mentioned earlier, he had the drop pass that would have been for a touchdown. So, Herbert will shake that one off, and he'll get back on it. Maybe they give him a simple throw to get him back in rhythm.
So 2nd and 10. Still from the left hash with trips right now for Herbert. C.K. Thompson, the tailback, to Herbert's right. And Thompson will get the carry up the middle here. Delayed handoff. Nice play in the backfield. Chopped down by Craig Hahn. Craig Hahn, the sophomore, takes him down. And now it'll be 3rd and 13. PA announcer getting fired up here in the Wolverine Den, trying to get this crowd going. An opportunity for the Willamette defense, maybe gain some confidence here. Sheldon from their own 37. Got to get to midfield. We got trips right, kind of bunched up near the formation. Left hash, Herbert takes a snap, fakes right. Got a pocket, over the middle, complete to Zanke. Past midfield, jukes. Cross the 45 to the 44. Pulled down by Michael Young. But it's another first down all the way to the 44 for Sheldon.
Yeah, and a good job by the Irish offensive line right there, giving Herbert plenty of time to kind of scan the field, waited for Zanke to get open, found him in the middle of the field, and that's a Sheldon first down. Huge letdown if you're Willamette to give up a 3rd down.
The crowd was hyped there, but now there's silence once again. Herbert fakes a Thompson, going to run up the gut, and he's taken down pretty much immediately, maybe got a yard. Really nice job there by Trenton Koffler. Trenton Koffler, the senior linebacker, coming up and making a nice play. And now it'll be 2nd and 9. 4:37 left here in the first. From the left hash still. Herbert squats down, takes the snap, looking middle. 5-man rush coming, and it's underthrown, incomplete. Looking out right was Herbert, trying to hit French. And French couldn't drop down for it. And incomplete. Calvin Young, another sophomore. Seems like every player we name for Willamette that makes a play is a sophomore.
Yeah, so, I mean, they've already improved this season. Imagine next year and the year after that. So a lot of young talent. Got to be good for Josh Wolfram and this program, knowing that although they may not compete for first place this year, I mean, they're already up to 2nd, but you got to be happy about what's in the future.
Here's a 3rd and 9. A couple of fakes, and Thompson's got it on a screen. Got some room all the way up to the 20. Cuts back to the 15, inside the 10, all the way to the 6. And the blocking downfield was tremendous on that one.
Yeah, and that's 2 screens that have been very effective for the Irish here tonight. Just good downfield blocking by the receivers and the offensive line to really push, wait for the screen to develop, and then really move it upfield. And C.K. Thompson almost with an easy running lane to get within the 10-yard line.
To the 80's the official spot. Thompson up the middle again, into the end zone, touchdown. C.K. Thompson, his 10th of the season. And C.K. Thompson is gouging the Wolverines defense right now by himself.
Yeah, and that was almost a mimic of the Irish's first drive where they went the screen and then handed off to C.K. Thompson to get him into the end zone. So the Wolverine defense, you had to expect that play was coming. But like I mentioned earlier, the Sheldon offensive line is getting good push, good penetration on this defensive line, not letting them get into the backfield. And as a result, C.K. Thompson has 2 rushing touchdowns.
So here's Herbert out for another shot at an extra point. Johnson will hold. Herbert's kick this time is up, and it is through. So C.K. Thompson, as you said earlier, first drive of the game, first possession for Sheldon. He got a 7-yard touchdown run. This time it's an 8-yard touchdown run. And now 20-0 Sheldon with 4:03 left here in the first. But remember, C.K. Thompson was not the starting running back to start this season. It was Taylor Bratton who started at Tigard. Bratton had a phenomenal game against the Tigers on the road. 12 carries, 78 yards, 7 catches, 106 yards, 4 total touchdowns. All in that one game at Tigard, but unfortunately in that one tore his ACL. So C.K. Thompson since then has stepped in, and he's been prolific at running back, both on the ground and receiving as well. Doesn't have any receiving touchdowns, but he's already got 2 catches for a total of about 60 yards tonight.
Yeah, no real surprise there to see another Irish offensive weapon step up and kind of take the place. This program year in and year out is, competing, at least trying to get to the state championship, and got to the semifinals last year. So we'll see if they can just keep plugging guys in each year, and this program will be successful for a long time going forward.
Brian Kim took the kickoff return there out to the 19 before he was shoved out of bounds.
Good to see Brian Kim back in the game. He went down earlier, walked off on his own, and then had him in there on special teams for the return. So good to see him back out there, even on special teams nonetheless, is one of the more dangerous parts of football. You got 2 people just run, or 2 teams, I should say, running back and forth at full speed.
That's just missiles. That's just missiles flying at each other at that point.
Yeah. If I'm a parent of one of these players, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of having them on special teams, but it's a part of the game. Football is a dangerous sport, so you know that going into it. But it's good to see a player like Kim, who went down earlier, back in the ball game.
Let's see if Bridgeiler and the offense kind of opens it up here for Willamette. Bridgeiler takes the snap, will hand it off to Young going right, and he's got nowhere to go, no gain. And there to meet him looked like Tate Edmondson, and that's who it was. Tate Edmondson has been tremendous at 6'3", 295 pounds, coming in this game with 30 tackles, 2.5 sacks, and he pretty much stoned Michael Young there. If you're Michael Young at 145 pounds, that's what he's listed at, and you meet Tate Edmondson at 295, you have absolutely nowhere to go at that point. That's a brick wall.
Yeah, he's probably asking Josh Wolfram to get him on the outside so he's not taking hits like that.
Oh, a screen pass goes off the helmet of Young and into the hands of Nathan Mahaffey, intercepted. Bridgeiler looking right, had his receiver, bounces off the helmet of Young, and Mahaffey is able to pick up his first interception of the season. Leads the team in tackles, and a heady play there by the senior.
Anything that can go wrong for Willamette has gone wrong here tonight. Even something as simple as a screenplay, it looked like Michael Young just almost wasn't expecting it, the ball to come in that quickly, hit off of his helmet, and ended up in the hands of a Sheldon defensive player, and that's not what you want if you're Josh Wolfram, to put your defense back out there when Herbert in this offense is having so much success.
They'll start at the 18. Herbert rolling out right, complete underneath the Deal. Deal inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. That will be a gain of 5 yards. So a tough break there. I mean, Young was not even looking at the ball, sprinting towards the sideline, just hit him right in the side of the helmet, and Mahaffey was there. But a 2nd and 6 now facing the Irish. Herbert fakes, now looks towards the end zone, complete to Deal at the 1, and he's in for 6. Touchdown. Justin Herbert, touchdown pass number 2, and now it's 26-0 Irish here on the road.
How many times here tonight have we seen Sheldon's receivers be open in the middle of the field, which is kind of surprising. You usually try to contain the middle, force the quarterback to throw the ball to the outside. It's a further throw if you throw it to the hash marks on the outside. So a little surprising to see these many guys wide open in the middle of the field, but it's been working for Sheldon, so if it's working, why not keep going to it?
Herbert will kick the extra point. Graham Johnson's hold is good, and Herbert's kick is good. So now 27-0. And, yeah, it's tough at this point. The penalties really piled up for Willamette early in this game. And now a play that a receiver gets a ball bouncing off his helmet, and then it's intercepted by the other squad. You talked a little bit about it earlier, but, I mean, for this Willamette team coming in trying to make this a game against Sheldon, nothing has gone right so far for the Wolverines.
Yeah, I think the Wolverines just need to get a first down, get some confidence under their belt, and see if they can't sustain a drive. They haven't been able to do that. Now, the Irish have played very good defense here tonight, but Willamette hasn't helped themselves with some penalties and some costly turnovers, one deep in their own zone, which led to that last Irish touchdown. So we'll see if Willamette can clean up the mistakes, clean up the penalties a little bit, and start to at least chip away at this lead and get back in this ball game.
Brian Kim and Michael Young back deep to receive Herbert's boot. Kim will take this kick at his own 5, running to the right, up to the 15, going towards the sideline now, and up to the 20, fighting forward, and a big hit there, taken out of bounds at the 20.
You can't afford to do that if you want to hang with a team like Sheldon, and that'll take us to the end of the first quarter.
That's going to do it after a rough first quarter for the Wolverines. Sheldon up 27 0. Willamette coming in this one 5-2. Number 3 Sheldon really inserting themselves in this game, inserting their dominance early. The Irish defense that only allowed Thurston to have 99 yards last week for the game. The Sheldon defense continues to improve and playing really, really well right now. And the Sheldon offense obviously explosive, but it seems like the Sheldon defense has really set up the Sheldon offense in spots where it becomes pretty easy for them.
Yeah, and I mean, if you just look at this Irish defense, the last 2 games outscoring their opponents 106-0, and then already 27-0 here tonight. So if you're Willamette, you got to somehow find a way to break through this defense, get something going on offense. Their biggest play was that 3rd down conversion on this very drive, but then they hurt themselves with the penalty on the next play. So you got to imagine that in between quarters here, Wolfram is just saying, guys, we can't afford to make penalties like this, and if we're going to stay in this one, at least move the ball on this Irish defense, you got to avoid the mistakes and just control what you can.
1st and 15 from their own 31. Bridgeiler takes the snap, looking out right at quick completion, dropped in the hands of Devin Gilman on a slant that would have gained at least 6 yards. Now it'll be 2nd and 15.
Yeah, and a play like that hurts because you had 6 or 7 on an easy pass and go right there, but just unable to corral that ball, and now you're faced at a 2nd and long. Maybe look for a different play call here and see if they can't spread the field out a little bit and get something going.
Yeah, I think Bridgeiler's looking a little more comfortable, maybe a little nervous to start, but he's had some pretty nice throws here as of late in the first quarter and now into the second. See if he can keep it going here at 2nd and 15 from their own 31. Hand up the middle to Young again on a draw play, and that one's only going to gain about a yard. So the Sheldon front 7, absolutely phenomenal the last three games for the Irish, and now they're just continuing that here tonight. Nowhere to go for these Willamette running backs. You have to wonder how much it would help to have the weapons that are Elijah Jackson and Trevor McDonald spreading the field, but Trevor McDonald's still suspended, and Elijah Jackson broke his clavicle in the first quarter last week, so they are without those 2. Michael Young certainly capable, though, with 122 yards last week. But nothing doing right now. Bridgeiler's going to roll it left. He's going to chuck this one up. A one-on-one situation. Incomplete. Had a man there. Griffin Lavosser couldn't pull it in. He looked like he might have pushed off there. Dylan French couldn't get the interception either, but just a 50-50 ball.
Yeah, and that's the second one we've seen here tonight, and it very well should have been a second interception for the Irish. So if you're Bridgeiler, you can't afford to, even on 3rd down like that, can't afford to just throw the ball up in the air hoping you can make a play happen. Got to be smart with it. Sometimes either just throw the ball away or even take the sack. Just control what you can, control the football, don't turn the ball over, and your team will be a lot more effective if you're holding on to the ball.
To boot it deep will be Bridgeiler, and back to receive is Jack Johnson. Bridgeiler boots it deep. That's a really good punt there, angling towards the sideline. Bounces at the 30 of Sheldon, takes a Willamette bounce. That one will land at the 21. So that's going to be a 47-yard punt there with no return. Nice job. And but unfortunately, if you're Willamette, the Sheldon offense is going to get the ball back here, up 27-0. That was a drive that looked like it had promise. They had some drops. They were starting to move the ball. They had some nice run plays. The penalties early really killed them. But opportunities were there on that drive. Maybe getting a little bit more comfortable. At least the Willamette offense certainly hopes so.
Yeah, and don't forget that drop on 1st down, which is huge because then you put yourself in a 2nd and long situation, unable to move the ball. They get 1 yard on that run, and then now you're facing a 3rd and long, and you're forced to throw the ball deep, and, Bridgeiler ended up throwing a 50-50 ball.
Herbert takes the snap from his own 21, rolling out left, complete to Zanke. Zanke jukes at the 30, and he's pile-driven to the turf there, right around the sticks at the 31. Nice tackle by Craig Hahn, but it's going to be a gain of 10 and a 1st down for the Irish. So Herbert and the Sheldon offense keeping the tempo going here early in the second. 1st and 10 from their own 30. From the left hash, 4 wideouts, 2 to each side. Herbert takes the snap. Quick screen out left to Jack Johnson. Across the 38, gets a block. Up to the 45, cuts to the right. Now past midfield. Now across the 40. Still going inside the 35 to the 34. Jack Johnson there making a really nice play with his legs.
Yeah, and talk about the blocks downfield by Dylan French and Zach Deal, just really opening up that hole for Jack Johnson to run through, and he took advantage of it and ended up, pushing off some tacklers there and got the ball downfield.
So here's a 1st and 10 now from the middle of the field. Trips left for Herbert. And that tailback to his left is Zanke. Taking the snap is Herbert. He'll throw to Zanke out of the backfield. Across the 25. What a juke there. Still going inside the 20. Tried to apply the juke there, but Calvin Young did a nice job of hanging on. And now a flag really late. And I believe this one's going to be on Jack Johnson. He's talking to the officials there, maybe trying to negotiate his way out of this penalty, but we'll see what the call is.
Yeah, usually the referees don't really like that when you're trying to talk to them when they're making a call, so we'll see.
Hey, come on, man. Come on.
He's maybe trying to plead his innocence and say, that wasn't me, I didn't do that. But
he's the only Sheldon player in the area, but
looks like they are going to call it on the Irish.
This one will be moved way back. Official wasting no time there, sprinting back to the next spot. Good hustle there from the official.
That's what you like to see out of the men in the stripes, really getting downfield, trying to stay young with these high school kids.
So the play is essentially wiped off. There's a 15-yard gain, and balls move back 15 yards. They're right at the original line of scrimmage. We'll redo it. 1st and 10 from the Willamette 39 now for the Irish. From the left hash this time with trips right. Herbert fakes to Zanke. Now fires it over the middle inside the Deal. Deal inside the 25 to the 24. And it's going to be not quite enough for a 1st down, but a gain of 7.
Good job by Herbert there, really holding it in the pocket of Zanke, convincing the defense they might run the ball, but he held it nicely, found an open receiver, and here they are again on a 2nd and short, trying to move quickly.
So a 2nd and only 1, so a little bit more yards than I thought. Herbert fakes a couple times. Now he's looking deep over the middle to Johnson. Complete at the 1. He's in for 6. Touchdown. Justin Herbert, touchdown pass number 3. Calvin Young in coverage, but an easy pass there for Herbert. Jack Johnson did most of the work.
Yeah, not Herbert's best throw of the night, but Jack Johnson did a good job of helping his quarterback out there. It almost kind of looked like he was slipping a little bit, able to get down to the turf slide and caught it right on the end zone line. So a nice play, an athletic catch from Johnson right there. And, Sheldon's now up 33-0 with 9 minutes to go here in the 2nd quarter.
So now trying to make it 34-0. This one is getting pretty ugly here. Sheldon putting on a show in Wolverine Stadium. What a performance so far from Herbert and this offense.
I don't expect the Irish head coach Lane Johnson to be keeping Herbert in the ball game much longer. Just as far as when you start looking later in the season, you want to keep a guy like this healthy, a guy that's so valuable for your team and for your offense. So you got to think, like you mentioned earlier, he plays till about the late second quarter, and then they take him out and let some younger guys get some action.
Yeah, Sam Olson, the backup quarterback, but Carter Hellickson and Ben Watson have also gotten time, a couple of sophomores at quarterback as well. Sheldon's seen a lot of blowouts here. Their last couple games have been pretty ugly, a 56-0 and then 50-7 win over South Eugene. So North Medford on the docket next week for Sheldon, but the playoffs really coming upon us, pretty soon. We are getting there, and Sheldon right now really firing on all cylinders with the playoffs approaching. Talked about how long we see Herbert. Maybe with Coach Helfrich and Scott Frost here, maybe you see Herbert a little longer. Expect Helfrich and Frost to be at too many other games. But here's the boot deep from Herbert, and it's going to be Brian Kim from his own 4, running it all the way out to the left side, cutting across the field and across the 20 to the 24-yard line.
Going back to what you were saying about Helfrich and Frost wanting to see Herbert put in his time in this ball game, you got to look at it also from the opposite side. You also want your recruit to stay healthy. So you look at it from when you've seen what he's able to do. He's been zipping some passes in there tonight. Like I said earlier, maybe one of his best passes ended up being a drop. So I think they've seen what Herbert's capable of. But like you said, you might see him go a little bit longer, but I don't expect to see him playing in the second half.
Well, Bridgeiler and company on the other side have had their troubles. 2 first downs so far and at least 6 penalties. Bridge Isler takes the snap, rolling out. Actually going to hand off a fly sweep to Young. He's thrown down in the backfield. That was that was actually Nathan Mahaffey again. Nathan Mahaffey has been all over the field. 7 tackles and a sack last week. But, man, he has been dominant. Also has an interception tonight.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to the guys on the Irish defensive line, clearing that hole, really penetrating the offensive line of the Wolverines and really creating a lane for Mahaffey to just get in there and make the easy tackle. He made it look easy, just really ripped him down to the turf, and a nice tackle by Mahaffey.
So now a second and 14. Scoreboard reads first and 14, but it is second and 14. Chris Clayton and Jonathan Style with you here on KWVA2. Michael Young trying to come in motion, but this one is going to be another penalty against the Wolverines. A delay of game against Willamette, and that's the type of penalty that's really going to get a coach frustrated.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, you got to limit the mistakes. You're already down 34-0. At this point, it becomes a teaching moment for your team. You know, limit the mistakes. If this was a closer ball game, you can't afford to have plays like this and mental mistakes happen like this. It wasn't even a man in motion, just delay of game. You gotta snap the ball before the play clock ends. So not a smart play there by the Wolverines.
Richarlison takes the snap. Looked like he's going to roll out left, but throws right, batted down. Guess who? Nathan Mahaffey. Almost intercepted. He wanted the pick, but just stuck his claw out there and batted down the pass.
What hasn't Mahaffey done? Maybe we'll get him on offense and score him a touchdown. Or, I mean, wouldn't be surprised on defense if he was able to snag that ball, return it for a touchdown.
So now a 3rd and 19 after a delay of game, and then Mahaffey swatting that one down to the turf. 8 minutes left here in the second, and a 34-0 lead for the number 3 ranked Sheldon Irish. Bridge Isler takes the snap. Immediate pressure, trying to run, and he's sacked. Nowhere to go for Taylor Bridge Isler. And he was thrown to the turf there. Took a pretty big hit. Really nice play by Dakota Hubert. Hubert a senior. Hasn't had a ton of playing time so far this year. That's his first sack of the season and his 7th tackle overall. And now a 4th and 27 from their own 8 facing Willamette. Bridge Isler will boot this one deep. Back to receive is Zanke. He'll backtrack to the 47. That's where he'll start the return up to the 35. Now the 30. Inside the 20 now. Inside the 15. Fighting actually taken down just before the 15. At the 17. But a 30-yard return. And once again, stellar field position coming up for the Irish.
Yeah, and a good job of Zanke on that return to just keep his legs chugging. Not the biggest guy, only 5'10", 166 pounds, but he runs a lot stronger than that. His legs are just churning with defenders all over him, just trying to almost drag them along for the ride, and was able to do that. And once again, not what you want to see if you're the Willamette defense. Some great field position here for the Irish.
So here's Herbert from the left hash. He'll hand off up the middle to Thompson. Huge hole. He's going to get all the way in. Touchdown, Sheldon. A 19-yard run, and that is touchdown run number 3 for C.K. Thompson. 40-0 Sheldon.
Yeah, good push right there by the offensive line. C.K. Thompson goes in untouched, just ran right where his blockers cleared the hole for him and got in the end zone for his 3rd touchdown. And not a whole lot of surprise there. Like I said, when they've gotten down in the red zone, they've gone to that run up the middle instead of doing a play action there, just handed it right off to him and got in the end zone.
So here is Herbert now out to kick the extra point. So now 11 rushing touchdowns on the year for C.K. Thompson. Herbert's extra point is really ugly. He's actually short. Didn't make it to the crossbar. About 3 yards short. He's going to be frustrated on that kick. He's also the kickoff man, so he's shown some power, but certainly not on that kick. He's going to get a pointer from one of his coaches, but he just led the team down the field for a touchdown, so you're going to be easy on him there.
Yeah, I don't think Aiden Schneider should be too worried. The Oregon kicker, it looks like Herbert.
You sure not here to recruit him as a kicker?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not worried about him coming in there and kick the ball, but as long as he can get the job done at quarterback, Helfrich and Frost will be happy.
Yeah, Herbert with 3 touchdown passes tonight. 1 to French, 1 to Zach Deal, and 1 to Jack Johnson. And the other 3 touchdowns have been thanks to the running abilities of C.K. Thompson. 7-yard, 8-yard, and now 19-yard touchdowns for C.K. Thompson so far. And Willamette clearly disheartened at this point.
We'll see if Herbert can redeem himself on this kick after maybe not the best extra point he was looking for. Probably about a 8-yard extra point, I would say, but he got this one, a lot more distance on this one.
Yeah, that's a little better there. It's going to be picked up by Young at his own 8. He's going to run back to the left after cutting towards the right side. He's all the way up to the 36. So there's the best return of the night from Michael Young. And once again, the PA man absolutely fired up about that nice return there from Young.
Yeah, what a cutback by Young. Looked like he was going to be stopped about 20 at his own 20-yard line. Ended up getting up close to the 40. It looks like they're spotting it at the 37. So a good job of cutting the ball back and getting the PA announcer fired up from this one.
I don't know how hard it is to get him fired up. Sometimes he really loses it. But 37-yard line, really not probably head over heels happy with Willamette's offense so far. Here's the drive so far for the Wolverines. Punt, punt, interception, interception, punt, punt. That is not good, and let's see if they get something going here. Quick toss play out left to Young towards the far sideline, and Young is immediately pushed out of bounds, only a gain of a yard.
It looks like the first time we've seen a toss. They usually have had some guys in motion from the outside, but maybe trying to switch things up, work on a couple of plays that you have in practice and see if you can execute them during an actual football game.
So a gain of actually 2 there. Got up to the 39. And a 2nd and 8. Willamette team on a 4-game winning streak coming into this game. That's their longest win streak since 2007. In 2007, they went 10-2 at the 5A level, that is. Quick run out to the left side and immediately thrown down. Chandler Obermeyer. Michael Young, another carry, and Obermeyer's there to immediately take him down. That's a loss of 2 yards in their backward. Actually, a loss of 3, so they're going to be behind the initial line of scrimmage, a 3rd and 11 coming up. You can just see the size differential at the line of scrimmage. I mean, the Sheldon defensive linemen really imposing their will in the trenches, and not much the young Willamette offensive linemen can do at this point.
Yeah, and you talk about the size, but how about their athleticism? I mean, we saw Haffey get up and just swat a ball. That Bridge Eiler was looking for a short pass and able to swat the ball, and they're bringing pressure here again.
And now Bridge Eiler's looking deep down the left sideline, overthrown and incomplete, looking for Bryce Goggin. Bryce Goggin, another sophomore, making his first, well, at least having us call his name for the first time tonight. Unfortunately, it looks like this drive is going to end in another punt for the Wolverines. 6:01 left here in the second. 40-0 Sheldon here on KWVA2 for the Friday Night Spotlight and also on SheldonAthletics.com. So Bridge Eiler will punt it again. Back to receive is Zanke. He's going to let Jack Johnson. He's going to let the ball go over his head, and that ball will bounce out at the 19-yard line.
Taylor Bridge Eiler with a booming punt.
That's a 45-yard punt with no return. Bridge Eiler's done pretty well punting the ball tonight. He had a 30-yard return earlier, but overall he's had some nice punts. Not a whole lot of height on those or hang time, but he gets some good distance.
Hey, he's playing at his home stadium, maybe getting a couple of home bounces right there, trying to get the ball within the Irish 20-yard line. Done a good job at early on. The Sheldon Irish was having some good field position, and in this one they're trying to flip the tables a little bit and see if force Sheldon to have a long drive with some long yardage.
Herbert, he was going to hand off to reverse to Dylan French. He's got some room across the 30 now, across the 35, cuts towards the sideline, across the 40, stiff arms, and is thrown out of bounds by Michael Young. All the way up to the 44, so a gain of 26 yards there on the reverse. So here the Sheldon offense will continue to move. Herbert and the first unit still in the game. 5:37 counting left here in the first half. Herbert hand off up the middle to Thompson. Finds some room across midfield, and it's going to be a gain of 8 yards.
I can't imagine the Irish will be throwing the ball much longer here. So, going back to the point you were saying earlier, maybe there is some value of having Herbert in the ball game just to see how he can hand the ball off a few more times, because I mean that is a big part of being a quarterback in a spread system like that, is that exchange from quarterback to running back. So that can be huge, and actually go for a pass here.
Quick screen out left to Johnson, and he's hit immediately, but it looks like he got just enough, a gain of 2. Nice job by Craig Hahn. Craig Hahn's done a pretty nice job at linebacker tonight. I say this pretty much with every player so far. He's also a sophomore. So Willamette got a lot to be excited about with their youth. But tonight, things not really going well so far. And it's going to be first and 10. Fly sweep out right to Zach Dealey. Finds some space now across the 25, inside the 35, and chopped down at the 31. First down regardless. Gain of about 15 yards. And the Willamette defense right now clearly fatigued and probably pretty discouraged.
Yeah, and the stats will go to the player holding the ball, but if you're Sheldon, you got to be happy with the downfield blocking you've been getting from your receivers. That's a huge part of moving the ball, especially on some wide receiver motions right there. And Sheldon running the ball here again.
It's going to be Thompson running over a defender, still going all the way up to the 15-yard line. Gain of 16 on the carry. Now the yards are coming in big chunks for the Irish.
And remember, this drive started on their own 18-yard line, so they've been moving the ball with some success here, and really haven't slowed down much on offense, and look to add some more points to their already 40-point lead.
From the left hash, Herbert takes the snap, fakes, and it's going to be reversed to Jack Johnson. Cutting it upfield inside the 10, inside the 5, touchdown Sheldon. Jack Johnson runs it in. That's Johnson's first rushing touchdown of the season. His 6th total touchdown of the year. And now Sheldon with a 46-0 lead.
Jack Johnson did a good job right there of letting that play develop. Kind of ran into his offensive lineman right at the line of scrimmage, but kind of waited it out, waited to see his blockers get downfield and contain the defensive back of the Wolverines, and then just kind of rode it in with the hole from right there.
So here comes Herbert again for the extra point. The running clock rule will apply once the second half begins. It's a 40-point differential once that running clock rule applies, and it is Sheldon obviously across that plateau and up 47-0 with Herbert's extra point sailing right through the uprights.
A much better extra point than his last one that only went about 10 yards, and this one sailed through. So Herbert maybe tried to redeem himself right there and prove that he still got some juice left in his leg.
So it could be 49, but it'd still be 47 with a couple of mixed extra points. But Willamette, I mean, you're looking at a Willamette team that only won one game last year. A roster that it's a small roster, overall, as far as just quantity. Look at the sideline, not very many sub options. So the depth not really there, but I mean also they're really young. So the fact that they've been able to do what they've done so far in the Southwest Conference, and even if they lose the next 2, they're going to be in the playoffs. The fact that they're a playoff team just a couple of years removed from being a 5A squad, they have a lot to be proud about this season so far.
If you're the Wolverines, you can't get discouraged from a game like this. It's no real surprise to see Sheldon blowing out another opponent. They seamlessly have been doing that, week in and week out. And kind of a fumbled snap there on the kickoff, but the Wolverines able to jump on it.
Short kick, and it is a nice play by Griffin Lavosser to fall on it. And that's where Willamette will start, is the 30-yard line. So 3:49 left here in the first half. Second half is going to fly by. This has been not necessarily too slow of a first half, but once that running clock rule kicks in, the second half tends to fly by. Obviously, the second half lasts pretty much exactly 24 minutes. So here we go with the Willamette offense. That drive so far have been punt, interception twice in a row, and then 3 punts after that. So 5 punts, 2 interceptions, and here's possession number 8. Run up the middle, a nice hole, and a pickup of 12 for a first down for Craig Hahn. So up to the 41. Check that, the 42 is where they mark him. And it is still the first unit defense for Sheldon, so credit Willamette, able to open up a nice hole there for Hahn.
Yeah, that's the first time we've seen them have success running the ball in the middle. Sheldon's defensive line has been a good job of closing that gap up the middle, not letting the Wolverines open up any holes, and that was a big run there by the Wolverines.
There's going to be another run up the middle and hit in the backfield hard. Immediately wrapped up is the ball carrier in Craig Hahn.
Nathan Mahaffey, once again, with a big hit right there. You could hear the pop even all the way up from where we're sitting. So, impressive kid, and Mahaffey's actually getting subbed out of the game right now.
Mahaffey has been tremendous. Really, really impressive game so far on defense. He's had a nice season overall, but defensively, he's been dominant in this game. So a 2nd and 12 after Craig Hahn took that huge hit in the backfield. 2:50 and counting left in the first half. Sheldon with a 47-0 lead here at Willamette High School. Handoff up the middle, and only a gain of a yard. So now a no gain, so a 3rd and 12. Got to get across midfield to the 48 if Willamette wants to keep this drive alive.
And once again, getting yourself in the position of 3rd and long is not where you want to be if you're this Wolverine offensive team that doesn't throw the ball a whole lot, more known for their run game, but they've been forced to throw it here tonight because that run game just hasn't got established. But all credit goes to the defensive line of Sheldon.
Only 2 first downs in the game so far for Willamette. Total yardage, don't have the exact figure, but it's certainly not impressive. 3rd and 12 though. Bridgeiler rolling out right, going to throw downfield, underthrown and incomplete. Would have been a gain of about 15. Devin Gilman just couldn't come back to it close enough, or rather far enough back towards the line of scrimmage. And now the Wolverines will probably punt this one away.
That was one of those routes right there that it was all about timing. So when Gilman turned, he was expecting the ball to be one place. Bridgeiler threw it somewhere else, and they weren't unable to connect on that one. Would have been a huge pickup for the Wolverine offense here as we approach the end of the first half. So unfortunate for the Wolverines right there.
Clock stopped at 2 minutes. Back to return is Zach Deal. He catches one at the 28. It's actually fair caught. So it's actually at the 30, so it's going to be Sheldon ball at the I didn't see the fair catch signal. I guess I might have missed that, but they spot him dead at the 30, and that's where the Sheldon offense will get the ball. Justin Herbert, we've seen the last of him tonight. Sam Olsen now in at quarterback for the Irish. And what a game it was for Justin Herbert. 3 passing touchdowns on the night. And off the top of my head, I can only remember 3 incompletions, 2 or 3. But regardless, the supreme.
Should have only been 2.
Yes, a drop in the end zone would have been his 4th passing touchdown. Or no, it would have been still 3, but he would have had it a couple plays earlier. And 1 less incompletion. Sam Olsen taking his first snap and running it out left on a quarterback sweep for a gain of 12, all the way up to the 43. Clock winding under 2 minutes now. Stopped at 1:47 as Olsen scampered out of bounds from their own 43. And the Sheldon offense that came into this one averaging 48 points per game have already almost crossed that plateau. I don't know if they'll cross their average yardage plateau of 474 just because their defense has set them up in such great field positions. Sizemore took a carry out left, only picked up about 2. Sizemore comes in usually at about this time. Had a really nice game last week. 8 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown against Thurston. He actually got 155 yards rushing on the season as well. He took his 24th carry there and only got 2. So a minute 20 now and counting. Olsen slowing the offense down. Coming in motion is Bryce Klein. Klein will have the ball faked to him, and now Olsen running out left. Fighting across midfield, dives forward, picks up enough for a first, all the way up to the 45. And there's going to be a flag on the play. It's actually a fumble. I didn't even see it. It was blocked, but the ball was fumbled. Evidently, the ball came loose. I don't know if you could see it style, but the ball came loose there, and it's going to be Willamette football.
Yeah, I saw it drop at the end there. I thought it went out of bounds, but apparently Willamette was able to dive on it before it went out of bounds. It was almost at the end of the play. It looked like he was trying to extend the ball out a little bit and then just ended up losing it. A huge break if you're Willamette because Olsen had a nice run and was headed towards another first down.
That might have been the most awkward fumble recovery I've seen. I don't know if anyone realized it was a fumble and fumble recovery. Maybe it was just me. I don't know, but not a whole lot of commotion there as the ball was loose, but Willamette ends up with it. First turnover of the game for Sheldon the moment Herbert came out. Bridgeiler with a quick completion outright. The offense back on the field from their own 45. And Goggin was the one who pulled it in on the out pattern. Got across midfield to the 49. Pickup of 6. So under a minute, and you got to hope Willamette, with still a big matchup next week against Grants Pass. If Willamette can come to play, Grants Pass is going to be another tough matchup, but if Willamette can really come to play, they got the Cavemen coming visiting here. They will be here in the Wolverine Den. Maybe they can make that a game. If they win that, they're going to get that second place spot in the SWC, which is obviously a great accomplishment for a team that only won one game all of last season. Bridgeiler, another completion out left to Young. He gets across the 45 up to the 41-yard line, 42. And the Wolverines now really moving. It is, I believe it's still the starters on defense for Sheldon, but Bridgeiler's throwing strikes right now. Here's another one out left towards the sideline. And that's going to be a gain of another 6 yards for not a first down, but a timeout. I believe a timeout. The clock was stopped. Not sure why the clock ever, I guess I think the receiver went out of bounds, but at 47 seconds on a 2nd and 4, Willamette's going to snap it and it will be blown dead. It's going to be against Sheldon.
Illegal participation against the Irish.
12 men on the field against Sheldon.
That moves the ball for a Will High first down.
So Willamette's going to have enough for a first thanks to the penalty.
I'm sure Willamette at this point will take a first down any way they can get it. And they do that here and look to establish some confidence maybe going into the second half, get your offense in some rhythm here at the last drive of the first half and see if you can't start moving the ball on the Sheldon defense.
46 seconds from the Sheldon 30. Bridgeiler going to run for it. He fumbles the ball, took a big hit, and Irish get the football back. C.K. Thompson, the one with the forced fumble. Huge hit right there in the lower body of Bridgeiler, and the football came loose.
Bridgeiler right there was looking to extend the play, moved with his legs a little bit, looking to throw the ball, but was a little careless with the football, ended up getting hit right in the stomach, ended up having to drop the ball. Not what you want to see for Josh Wolfram, at least as far as how well your team was moving the ball late in this first half and then ended up losing it with the fumble.
Couldn't tell who fell on it for the Irish, but we'll check the stats on that one later. Regardless, the forced fumble was certainly C.K. Thompson and a big hit there, so Willamette's best chance at scoring ends in disappointment. So now under 25 seconds, clock winding down, and I think the Irish may have to run one more play. And no, they don't. They will not. They'll jog off the field, and that is going to do it for the first half. Sheldon on the road at the Willamette Wolverine, a squad that was number 2 in the Southwest Conference, and number 3 Sheldon absolutely dominant in this one, 47-0 here at the half. And Willamette really got off to a rough start. That first drive of the game, they started with the football, a couple of penalties, didn't move anywhere, and Sheldon got the ball in their first drive, scored in 2 plays. So I think that start certainly didn't help Willamette from a confidence perspective.
Yeah, and when you talk about confidence, here in the second half for Willamette is going to be huge. They have a big matchup against Grants Pass next week, so you have to establish a rhythm, get your offense back to what it has been doing all year as far as running the football and then mixing in pass when necessary. So I think the second half will be huge. Even if it isn't against the Sheldon's first-string defense, you got to at least get in a rhythm. This is the one time before Grants Pass that you'll be playing an actual football game and not just practicing your plays. So this will be huge for their confidence going forward if they can at least get on the board, because you don't want to head into a matchup against Grants Pass with a goose egg on the board from your previous game.
Yeah, still a lot to play for Willamette, but also for the Sheldon team competing for a state championship. Their only loss on the year came earlier to number 1 Jesuit, double overtime, 61-55. And on the docket left here is this game. It looks like they're going to lock this one up, already up 47-0, obviously. And then next week, the night before Halloween, they take on the North Medford Black Tornado, who have had a very disappointing season. So Sheldon certainly lined up to have a successful season here as the year goes on. But we'll be back here in about 10 minutes. For now, we're going to send it back into the KWVA studios, and we'll get you back for the second half. But we got some good volleyball going on over on KWVA. We'll also hear from Mike Garandy about what's going on in the rest of the nation. Chris Clayton and Jonathan Style with you here on KWVA 2. We'll be back for the second half in about 10 minutes. For now, we'll send it out. Absolutely tremendous. In the Willamette side, Trevor McDonald, the conference's leading rusher for a long time this season, now second to Will Spence from North Medford, who's got over 900 yards and 12 rushing touchdowns on the year. McDonald at 609 on the season. He's been suspended the last couple of games due to what Josh Wolfram, the head coach of the Wolverines, called team policy issues. And there are also some other Wolverines that suspended. And Elijah Jackson broke his clavicle, another electric weapon so far for the Wolverines this year. 8 touchdowns on the ground on the year and 474 yards rushing on only 66 carries. So that's another electric weapon to lose, because Elijah Jackson, the senior, also leads the team in tackles and sacks. So a huge loss there, maybe even more so than McDonald.
Yeah, and especially when you start looking at Willamette being a playoff team, that's when it really hurts them, is down the road. Obviously, I don't know if Jackson would have made much difference in this game against going up a very powerful team like Sheldon, but you start to look at least giving yourself a shot once you enter the playoff race, and even next week against Grants Pass. And just unfortunately for Willamette and Jackson, he's just unable to be out there because of injury.
So the team's finally out here on the field, ready to go. Willamette will boot it deep to start things off here in the second half. Chris Clayton and Jonathan Style with you here. There will be a running clock in the second half. 47-0 Irish as they look to pick up their 6th win on the year. Kicking it deep for Willamette. It's going to be an onside kick, so not kicking it deep, but Tristan Rechtel was the one who attempted the onside kick, and those are some really good hands displayed there by Tanner Bass. Pulled it right in, coming at him hot, but he's able to fall on it at their own 49-yard, at his own 49-yard line, and that's where the Irish will start the drive.
Expect the Irish to not maybe pass the ball much here in the second half, and just try to get out of here with everyone healthy. Expect them to run the ball virtually almost on every play and see if their offensive line can keep getting good push.
Sam Olson, the quarterback, will fake up the middle. Now he's got some room here. Bounces it outside, taken down. Takes a shoestring tackle to take down Olson. That was Devin Gilman on the tackle. So Olson showing the wheels. Backup quarterback. Last season the backup quarterback was Zach Deal. Deal's played a little bit of quarterback this year, a couple snaps, but Sam Olson has been the man to replace Herbert when Herbert comes out, which is a lot of times pretty early in the game. First and 10. Going to be a sweep out here to the left side to Tanner Bass. He's got some blocks across the 20, and he's actually hit and taken down at the 20. Tanner Bass, the senior. Not a lot of touches this year. There's his 6th carry of the season. And that one his longest carry quite easily. He's able to pick up about 20 yards there all the way up to the 22-yard line of Willamette.
Yeah, but how about the finish there by Bass, really running over the Willamette defensive back there, really just pushing and fighting for some extra yards.
It's going to be a sweep out here to the left side, and David Libby trying to find some room at the sideline. He'll be taken down at the 11. Probably enough for a first, but there's a flag all the way back at the 25. So we'll get the call, and that one's going to be moved back. And it's a hold against the Irish. So all the way back to the 35-yard line. Now it'll be 1st and 23 facing Sheldon. So once again, next week, North Medford is who the Irish face off with. And for Willamette, they take on Grants Pass. So here's our 1st and 10 from the 35. Handoff up the middle. And looking for a hole here is James Sizemore, and he picks up a pretty nice gain up to the 28. Gain of 7 yards. Clock down to 9:25, a 47-0 lead for number 3 Sheldon. Some kind of overlook for Sheldon has been their ability to finish drives this year. Justin Herbert, the kicker, and he's actually only attempted 1 field goal this season.
So yeah, I mean, when you get in the end zone that many times, you don't really expect to settle for field goals much. So obviously, this Sheldon offense is the best in the conference. So not expect a team when you're the best offensive team in the conference to be kicking a whole lot of field goals.
Yeah, maybe part of it, Herbert probably not the most powerful kicker. I mean, he's got sometimes in stretches he can be decently accurate. But he's missing a few extra points, and earlier today we saw him kick a pretty much 8-yard extra point. I mean, that one was well short. He's also sailed some through, so just a little inconsistent. Olsen's pass is going to be batted down at the line of scrimmage. Nice play by Craig Hahn. Craig Hahn has had a nice game for Willamette so far in this one. And it's going to be third. I apologize for laughing, but the PA announcer getting creative with his calls with some of these plays.
Yeah, Hahn has been the lone bright spot here on the Willamette defense, and the PA announcer has definitely taken notice of that. And every time Hahn makes a play, he makes the crowd know that you got to give it up for this guy.
That's right. Well, 3rd and 22. It's going to be handoff up the middle. Sizemore, gain of 3. Up to the 30, so it may be punt. It's actually the 31, so it'd be a long field goal or kind of a pooch punt here, and it looks like a pooch punt is exactly what the Irish will do on 4th and 22. Looks like Jax Arnold back there to kick it deep. We'll get a better, yeah, he turned his body around a little bit. It's actually Ryan Walk, I believe. Not a great angle, and he will kick it away. It is Devin Gilman and Michael Young back deep to receive for the Wolverines. And that one nearly blocked. Ryan Walk took his sweet time there on the punt, and Young will corral this one at the 4 and thrown down immediately by Bryce Klein. Boy, that was the most nonchalant punt I've seen. Ryan Walk just, I mean, he took about 3 seconds there kind of lining that one up, and it was almost rejected back the other way by, I believe, it might have been Craig Hahn.
If it was Craig Hahn with the block on the PA announcer, would have just got in this crowd right back in.
PA announcer would have been, wow, he would have been ultra hyped on that one had Craig Hahn made the play. But Craig Hahn didn't, and he booted it deep, so not good field position coming up here for the Wolverines.
Yeah, Walk almost looked like he forgot he was supposed to be kicking the ball.
He did. He really did. Took his time, but got it away. Credit him. I mean, kind of got in his own world there back there to kick it deep. 1st and 10 from their own 7. Michael Young on a sweep, trying to cut back the other way. He's got some room here. Nice run by Young. a gain of about 6 yards and almost busted that one off big time. Jaron Banks on the tackle for Sheldon.
It's the second time tonight we've seen Young with a beautiful cutback. He didn't look like he was going anywhere in the backfield and ended up turning up to upfield to at least get some positive yards for his team instead of losing a couple, and some nice effort there by Young to move the ball.
Michael Young coming in this game with 416 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground and only 71 carries. He had 20 carries, 177 yards last week. Also 4 catches for 73 yards and a receiving touchdown. So he's big last week, not as big in this one. I mean, you think about what he did last week as Brian Kim took a carry for a gain of about a yard. But Elijah Jackson broke his clavicle in the first quarter. Trevor McDonald suspended. Young really stepped up and was a prolific weapon in their close road win at North Medford. Willamette's had a lot of close wins this year, and they had a close loss against South Medford and Spiegelberg, but 9-point win over Roseburg, 3-point win over the Axemen of South Eugene, a 7-point win last week. So the mental toughness is certainly there, which is really impressive for such a young team.
Yeah, and if you're Josh Wolfram, that's what you like to see out of a young team. Obviously, a big step up from last year to this year, but they haven't let it get the best of them, and they've been able to kind of weather the storm and fight through those tough games to pull out a couple of close victories.
3rd and 3, running to the left, and Michael Young got enough for the first down all the way up to the 24. So it's going to be a first down for Willamette. Young continuing to pound it. I don't know exactly how many carries Young has, but it's got to be up around 25, and he's even had some receptions. Michael Young has been a workhorse in this one, despite being listed at only 145 pounds.
Yeah, and when you lose a guy like Trevor McDonald and you lose Elijah Jackson, you got to expect that Michael Young would be a key part of this offense, and he gets it again right here.
It was actually
Brian Kim, excuse me.
Yeah, it was like Brian Kim there on the sweep out to the right side. I mean, they really spread the carries out. They've been doing that all season. Coming in this game, McDonald with over 100 carries, 66 carries for Jackson, and Young with 71. Also got a guy like Kim who came in this one with 15 carries. So how their offense is run, they really spread the ball around, a lot of fly sweeps, and then not a whole lot of size. They don't have a power running attack, but they kind of use their quickness. But they're not afraid to run in the middle. It's kind of an interesting attack. Bridge Eiler, the sophomore quarterback, not a huge rushing threat, only 29 rush yards on the season, but he has scampered into the end zone 3 times. Here's another run on 2nd and 5. That one's going to lose about 2. 3:08 left here in the third. 47-0 lead for Sheldon.
Michael Young on that last handoff did a good job on the exchange. It looked like he lost it for a second, reached out his arms, grabbed it, able to keep the ball with the Willamette offense, because that would have been huge to have a turnover on 2nd down when your offense has been at least moving the ball a little better than we've seen earlier in the game.
So here's the 3rd and 7 with the clock continuing to run. A trips right for Bridge Eiler. Look back to the left. A quick screen setup complete to Young. Gets a block. Gets to the sideline across the 30 and all the way up to the 33. And it's going to be close. See if he gets the first. And he got it. Enough for a first. So just across the sticks. Really nice blocking. He had 3 linemen out in front of him, and the linemen were sprinting, racing towards the sideline. Great effort there, and they get the first down.
Yeah, huge 3rd down conversion. We haven't seen the Willamette team. I believe they only had 1 conversion on 3rd down earlier in that first half, and already here 2 first downs on this drive. So we'll see if they can keep the ball moving. The clock is running regardless, so not really worried about time management here. But we'll see if they can get in a rhythm, keep things going, and at least establish a connection maybe with some of the receivers in the passing game.
Willamette shifts the offensive line there, changing centers kind of mid-play. Going to be a toss play out to Michael Young, and Michael Young fights forward for about 5 yards. And give him 6 there. I mean, this is a second-unit Sheldon defense, but this is a second-unit Sheldon defense that is still really talented compared to the rest of the conference. And when you see this drive here, this has been a lot more success on the ground. This is the type of offense I think you see on a game-by-game basis for Willamette.
Yeah, and they couldn't get that rhythm going early. A couple of penalties have hindered, put themselves in more of a passing situation, so they weren't able to establish a run. And then you have a couple turnovers when they do throw the ball, makes you not want to throw the ball as much.
Young here on a carry, bounces it outside, trying to find some room across the 45, and enough for a first. So that's going to be a gain of about 8 yards there on 2nd and 4. And Willamette really moving now. Only 44 seconds left here in the third. Clock winding down.
I've been impressed with Young's vision. It seems like when he gets the ball, he's looking downfield. We've seen a couple of cutbacks. He's made some pretty good gains off of that. So we'll see if with Jackson out and with McDonald out, if he can really carry the load for this offense, which he has done tonight.
And it's going to be another carry for Kim, and Kim picks up about 9 yards. So Willamette on the move here, trying not to let themselves finish this game with a goose egg on the scoreboard, trying to get in the end zone. The clock will run out here in the third quarter. 47-0 Sheldon. Willamette moving the ball, but the Irish here, after a quick third quarter, still holding this lead. And I think if you're Willamette here, you got to try and use this drive here. I mean, this isn't going to be a playoff team. I think with the OSAA ranking of Sheldon right now at number 4, and you look at Grants Pass next week, who is right around 13 or 15, somewhere in there. So Willamette right now at number 22 in the OSAA. If you finish top 32, you're going to be a playoff team. And, mathematically, regardless of what happens these last 2 games, Willamette's going to be a playoff team. So, these are the type of moments where you kind of, it's those small things. You pick up your blocks on the screen passes. You continue to try and execute the offense properly. You can learn those lessons and improve on a roster that's full of sophomores in a big-time game next week against the Grants Pass Cavemen.
Yeah, and learn how to play on offense without Trevor McDonald and Elijah Jackson. You can't expect Jackson to come back. We'll see the state of McDonald as the season progresses. But, learn how to play without those guys because they did a good job of it last week. And then this week, obviously, not so good. And credit to the Sheldon defense. But get in rhythm with the guys that you have on the field because that's all you can control and see if they can get something going as they head to the playoffs.
Double reverse here to Young, and Young's going to lose 5 yards back to the 45. So Herbert went out earlier, and Helfrich and Scott Frost, Oregon head coach and offensive coordinator, may be gone at this point, but Taylor Alley, another Sheldon quarterback, already on the Oregon roster, and Helfrich and Frost probably pleased with what they saw from Herbert, but I think you saw Herbert trying to show some running ability tonight. I mean, he's been showing his running ability all season long, came in this game with 258 rush yards, but the size of Herbert really helps him in the quick offense. At 6'6", he can see over the line of scrimmage so well. Those quick passes over the middle, those slants become a lot easier for a guy at his height. And Bridge Eiler is going to complete this one quickly out left. It's actually going to be a gain of 11, and it's a fumble late, and Willamette falls on it. So now a third down facing the Irish. Or rather facing the Wolverines, as they huddle up. 10:47 here left in this one. Last year's meeting between these two teams ended in a 68-15 victory for Sheldon at home. They had 673 yards in that game, and I don't think Sheldon ended that mark, but they certainly, the point total, could have had 68 had there not been that running clock. Michael Young going to take a carry out to the right side. And he's going to get just enough for a first there on 3rd and 2 inside the 30 of Sheldon. Willamette trying not to finish this one scoreless and moving the ball. A nice drive going here for the Wolverines. Wolverine squad that coached by Josh Wolfram was also the boys and girls track coach. Former head coach of Eagle Point High School. Once again, as I said earlier, you might have heard it, but this team was picked to finish 7th in the conference. Maybe that was bulletin board material. That might have been part of it, but wow, what an impact Wolfram's had, and what a program, or what a turnaround this season for this program. You hope as a whole the program is turning around and they continue to improve.
Kind of an interesting setup there by Willamette. They had Bridge Eiler lined up out as receiver, and Hunter Trim actually taking the snap at quarterback in on first down, going for a little bit of a QB sneak, but it actually ended up picking up about 6 yards.
6-yard QB sneak. You don't see that very often, but it pays off. And Hunter Trim, just a junior. Backup quarterback, 6'4", 190 pounds. Came in this game with 4 catches and 44 yards on the season, but there's his first carry, and it's a 6-yard gain on a sneak. I mean, this is a roster with only 11 seniors out of about just over 30, as Bridge Eiler, one of the sophomores, throws it out towards the sideline. Everything loaded with young players. And this is why you see all the starters in for Willamette at this point. Each and every moment is beneficial for this team as they try and gain some game experience.
Yeah, we've seen some good passes on this drive by Bridge Eiler. Earlier in the game, he was lofting a couple balls, making some errant passes, but he's been very methodical with this drive, moving the ball slowly. Like we said, the clock doesn't really matter at this point, so you're not really trying to hurry up, just trying to get the plays in, call the correct call, make the plays, have blocking downfield, really see if you can't get something going for your offense.
There's going to be a handoff on the right side. Thrown down in the backfield is Michael Young. Jaron Banks for Sheldon. Jaron Banks, I think, is an intriguing player for the Irish. He's got more and more playing time as the season's gone on. He's only a sophomore, which for a Sheldon team that is able to reload year after year and has so much depth, you don't see sophomores play that often. And he's a great athlete right now at 5'11", 190. Plenty of time still to grow into his body, but coming this game with 13 tackles, 4 for loss, and a forced fumble. Last week he had 5 tackles. Really good athlete, and he's kind of maybe trying to crack the rotation here as the season goes on. Bridgeout is going to toss this one towards the end zone in coverage. Nearly pulled in for a touchdown, but incomplete. Looking for Devin Gilman, and that was the best opportunity for a touchdown tonight for Willamette.
Not a bad pass either.
And it was 4th, by the way, so that's going to do it for that drive.
Yeah, but going back to the 4th down pass, kind of an interesting call. They weren't really looking for the first down, but gave his receiver a chance. Unfortunately, Gilman was unable to come down with it. But like you said, their best opportunity at putting some points on the board, but falling just short right there on 4th down.
So we get a score update from Grants Pass. Grants Pass, who's facing off with the Wolverines next week. They have a 21-7 lead over South Eugene currently. And that will move Grants Pass into the lone holder of the second place spot in the Southwest Conference. Willamette will drop to 4-2 with tonight's loss. 6:55 left in this one, and a timeout for the Irish, or rather for the Wolverines. So, Willamette trying to get the coaches together. Coach taking every moment seriously here, trying to build up a team that's had good defense all year. I think a lot of this was probably mental regarding some of these breakdowns, but Sheldon's been kind of doing this to all the team they've faced all season long. Every team Sheldon's faced has had trouble stopping them, whether it's Tigard or Jesuit or even the best teams in the state. So Willamette can't have too much shame in that. Chris Clayton and Jonathan Stile with you here on KWVA Eugene 88.1 FM and also on SheldonAthletics.com. And here comes the Sheldon offense. Just 6:55 left. Get this clock running once again. This one will be over pretty quickly. 4 wideouts from the left hash for Olsen. It's actually Hellickson at quarterback. Hands it off to Sizemore up the middle. Excuse me, that is not Hellickson. That's Ben Watson. Hellickson, number 17. Ben Watson, another sophomore at number 16.
No surprises on that last pick. Craig Hahn came up and made the tackle at the linebacker spot.
We didn't get the scream, the primal scream from the PA announcer like I thought we would.
Yeah, I think might have to retire the screaming now, down 47-0, but still. And once again, Hahn in there on making another tackle.
Another tackle on the carry out to the right side. And Hahn was on the tackle. And what a job these young players or these small players for Willamette do. I mean, the thing about Willamette, they don't have very much size. A lot of these guys are very small. Even Trevor McDonald, we talked about being such a great athlete, he's only 165 pounds at 5'7". Michael Young is 5'8", 145, and even Elijah Jackson, he's healthy at 170. Brian Kim, 145. Gilman, 165. I mean, maybe they've gained a few pounds as the season's gone on, but not a whole lot of size, and these guys do a really nice job being a lot more physical than you think for guys that are at their size. It was a run in that last play by Ben Watson. Took it across the sticks for a first down. The Wolverine din here a little bit more empty than it was early. Willamette in their all maroon jerseys, maroon helmets, shirts, and tops, that is, jerseys, and pants as well. Here's a reverse out to the right side from Sheldon. It's taken down in the backfield. Really nice play there by Hunter Trim. Hunter Trim taking it down in the backfield after the carry by Cameron Collins on the reverse. And 4:57 and counting. Pretty good turnout for Sheldon fans as well. Obviously not too long of a drive. Willamette just a little bit down the road, maybe about 10 or 15 minutes from Sheldon High School. Still on quarterback is Ben Watson. Hand up in the middle of Sizemore, running right side. He's got some room here across the 45, across midfield, still pounding downfield, driving the legs, and all the way up to the 46-yard line. So James Sizemore, the guy, think about James Sizemore is he only gets in garbage time in games, if you will, for the most part, and getting those carries late. But a lot of teams in the Southwest Conference, he would probably be a feature back. I mean, he's a really talented running back.
Yeah, speedy guy right there. Willamette didn't do a very good job at looking for the tackle. They were more trying to strip the ball from him, and as a result, Sizemore was able to pick up some extra yards, kept his legs moving, and got Sheldon another first down here late in this fourth quarter.
So here's what now it's Hellickson at quarterback, faking up the middle, now looking for some room. He's got some past the 35, across the 30, still fighting, and all the way up to the 25-yard line. So that'll be a first down run for Ben Watson. Carter Hellickson. It'll be an interesting quandary at quarterback looking ahead to next season. Probably going to be Sam Olson, but Sam Olson, we haven't seen a lot of throws from him, a pretty decent running threat. Obviously looking pretty far ahead trying to replace Herbert, but a couple of sophomores in Watson and Hellickson that have both traded some saps, so maybe they'll see time as well. Never easy to replace a phenomenal kind of legendary quarterback like these Irish quarterbacks will have to do next year. You can ask the Oregon quarterbacks this season about as they try to replace Marcus Mariota, for example. Handoff up the gut on that last play, a gain of about 8. Pretty cold night. We're finally getting some cold. It's been consistently pretty warm, but I think this is the coldest it's been in a while.
Yeah. In a way, you kind of miss it, and then sometimes you really don't because you realize you can't feel your hands at some point, and my toes are pretty cold right now. These dress shoes aren't keeping me warm, but you like to see it. It's, like you said, it's been warm for a while. It's kind of late into October. It's staying this warm, so we'll finally get to see that Eugene unpredictable weather here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's certainly not been too cold, but we'll probably be wishing for some warmer weather here pretty soon. So I probably, I'm going to look dumb here in a couple of weeks. And Sheldon still kind of trying to move here. Still a first down as they get all the way up to the 14-yard line, just kind of pounding up the gut, letting this clock run out, down to 2 minutes. After this, we'll have another hour of sports talk to finish out the Friday night spotlight up until the 10 o'clock hour. Here's a run out to the left side to Cameron Johnson. And Cameron Johnson with his second carry of the season. He had one carry coming in this game. He might have had a couple carries tonight, but one carry for -4 yards are his stats in the season coming into tonight. But a nice 6-yard gain for him there. And now only a minute 30 left. So the Sheldon defense held the Colts of Thurston to just 99 yards last week. Last we heard, Thurston's got a 27-13 lead over Roseburg. So Thurston trying to get their first win of the season. That would be a nice upset for them there, as Thurston really been disappointed with their performance so far. I don't think the Willamette offense has had much more than 99 yards. Maybe around that mark, but if you look at just the first unit, the Sheldon defense has pretty much locked down the Wolverines.
Yeah, the Wolverines' last drive probably got close to their total in the ball game before that drive. They were moving the ball pretty well. The best that we've seen, and had a chance at a touchdown on that fourth down pass. Devin Gilman unable to come up with the ball on that one, but Willamette can't get discouraged. I mean, the Sheldon defense, like you said, has been improving every week, so Willamette's just got to battle back, see if they can get something going next week against Grants Pass, and really gotta stay tough and realize that the bigger picture is you were last year you were 1-8, and this year you already have 5 victories. So, take that as you will, and you're going to be a playoff team. So, see if you can't make some noise once you enter the playoffs, and that would be huge for this program with, like you said earlier, a lot of young guys on this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a lot of sin. Some of the guys that are seniors for Willamette aren't even huge contributors. Some of them are, obviously, deserve credit there, but a lot of young guys, and also a lot of young guys that contribute and play a lot. That's going to do it. Sheldon got all the way to the 2, didn't punch it in, but the first half score, 47-0 in favor of Sheldon, is how this one will end, thanks to the running clock. So the Irish will move to 6-1 on the year. Willamette falls to 5-3. 4-2 in Southwest Conference play now is Willamette, and if Grants Pass is able to hold on against South Eugene, the Wolverines will drop down to number 3. But a Willamette team that has finished with 5 wins combined the last 3 seasons, already with 5 wins on the year. Certainly a lot to be proud about, but maybe put too much pressure on themselves, hype this game up a little bit too much in their own minds, and I think came out a little bit tight and a little bit nervous, which you kind of see on a week-by-week basis with the Irish.
Obviously, when you look at the scoreboard, it says 47-0, so a disheartening feeling for the Wolverines, but they need to realize that there's more to flavor here. You got a guy like Craig Hahn had a very good game on defense, so you got to look at the positive takeaways. When you tend to look at the negatives when you lose by 47 points, but you have to look at those negatives in this game and then try to work on those and see if you can't get some positive reinforcement, learn from your mistakes, see if you can battle back from that. The team is going to be tested, especially mentally, next week, how they're going to respond from a loss this big. They've known to been playing close games all season, and this is the first time they've really gotten blown out. So how you respond from this could be huge for their program, and how will the young guys react? They haven't had a whole lot of experience playing at this level, so if they're able to kind of get their minds right and headed play Grants Pass here next week, it'll be huge for the team going forward and see what they can do in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they'll be a playoff team regardless, just as you said, but team facing adversity with suspensions to some players, and they also have Elijah Jackson, their best offensive threat, maybe at least from a big play perspective, their best weapon there, and one of their leading rushers statistically leads the team in touchdowns with 8 behind Taylor Bridgeiler, the quarterback, who has a total of 9 this year. So the adversity is there. We'll see if they can kind of respond, but certainly going to be some good lessons learned for the team as they go on, and even in the coming years with so many young players that are really talented and really impressive group, especially in the trenches where they can grow some more and try and win the battle at the line of scrimmage. That's kind of where they was lost tonight for Sheldon. The defense continues to improve. They came into this one tied for first in the Southwest Conference in turnover ratio with 11 takeaways, mostly just because their offense. They only have 4 giveaways on the season. And, you're talking about 7 games, and now they have 5 giveaways after a fumble by the backup quarterback, Sam Olson. But we saw that efficiency on full display early in this one.
Yeah, and that's what good teams do. They don't turn the ball over. They try to control their own mistakes, control the clock a lot of the times. Sheldon seemed to be moving with tempo early, maybe trying to throw off this Willamette defense, who was the best in the conference coming in, and Sheldon just came in and kind of shredded them early and was able to move the ball successfully downfield and then just able to kind of run the clock out going forward. But like I said, if you're Willamette, you can't focus on all the negatives here. It's time to put this loss behind you already. I know it hurts losing at home in front of your home crowd by 47 points, but it's what you do after this that'll kind of define your team the rest of the season. And the 5 wins don't really mean a whole lot if you start to hang your head, if you will, on the rest of the season and kind of give up.
Yeah, and talk about a guy like Justin Herbert kind of leading the way with that efficiency. Last week he was 8 for 9, and this week I think he had 3 incompletions. One of them was a drop, and he was certainly very efficient with 3 passing touchdowns on the day. But with Mark Helfrich and Scott Frost, the offensive coordinator for Oregon and head coach respectively, both on hand, that was easily could have been nervous if you're a quarterback. You're already committed to Oregon, but you want to impress your college coaches next year if he does stay committed to the Ducks. But he looked smooth, he looked efficient, and he was throwing some strikes against a pretty solid defense.
Yeah, he handled the pressure well. We saw a few times where he was rolling out. Didn't have really any effect on his ball. He actually threw that 1 touchdown deep in the end zone. I believe it was the 23-yarder. He threw probably about 40 yards. He threw it from the 30-yard line, ended up going to the back in the end zone, so the arm strength is there. The decision-making is there. Obviously, when you limit your turnovers, it didn't have an interception. It only has 2 on the year. So an impressive quarterback, Justin Herbert, and Mark Helfrich and his staff knows what they're going to get, and they saw it firsthand here tonight.
Yeah, player of the game for Sheldon on defense, Nathan Mahaffey. Guy was just wreaking havoc all night long in the backfield. Also had an interception on a crazy play off the helmet of Michael Young. Hit him in the side of the helmet, and Mahaffey was able to pick it out of the sky. But as I said earlier, 3 passing touchdowns total for Herbert. C.K. Thompson also finishes with 3 rushing touchdowns on the ground. That brings his total to 11 rushing touchdowns on the season. And remember, the guy didn't even start the year at running back. Taylor Bratton was the starting running back, but C.K. Thompson, in his first year with Sheldon, the transfer from Illinois, has been tremendous, and even had a forced fumble tonight on defense as well. So, number 3, Sheldon, 6th win of the year. Their only loss has come against the number 1 team in the state. There's only 1 regular season game left for Sheldon. They'll take on North Medford next week. Playoffs approaching. Sheldon trying to get things started and make a run at a state championship. We'll have the playoffs for you right here on KWVA Eugene, 88.1 FM for the Irish, so we're certainly excited about that one. Willamette will also be in the playoffs, so they got something to look forward to as well. For Jonathan Stile, I'm Chris Clayton. We're happy to bring you this one. A lot of fun. Not as fun for Willamette, a 47-0 loss, but Sheldon continues to roll. For now, we're going to send it back into the studio for the rest of the Friday Night Spotlight. We still got about an hour for a lot more sports talk, and that is exactly where we'll send it right now after a break. Once again, I'm Chris Clayton with Jonathan Stile, and we had a lot of fun. But now back to the Friday Night Spotlight right after this.